Hello, beach friends. One of my favorite things to do is go to the beach to see what all is out there. I used to only look for seashells, and don't get me wrong, I am looking for those gorgeous treasures. But these days, I'm looking for more than that. I'm looking for experiences. Will I meet some beach critters? Will I find anything unusual? Will I experience something new? Each trip I make is filled with anticipation of what all might delight me that day. And today we're going to experience South Marco Island. And for my return viewers, we have special access to see what is waiting for us today on that little slice of seashell heaven around the jetty on the south end of Marco Island. Now, I'm not a fan of spoilers. However, I have to let you know I had myself a great time while I was down there, and I'm going to show you all the good stuff I found while I was there. And if you're ready to start our sandy adventure, let's go to the beach. Hello, beach friends. So, normally when I'm trying to get to this little place, I have to kind of battle jetties that we see all the way out there. But today, I've got special access. And so I'm starting right smack in the middle of this little piece, or this little slice of seashell heaven, as I like to call it. All right, so what all is here? All right, so we'll start off with a lightning whelk shell. Okay, I was thinking perhaps it was a critter, it was big enough, but I think myself and a few other shellers have probably passed on this lightning whelk, and I'm going to pass on this one as well. However, I'm going to leave the broken side up. There you go. It'll probably flip over anyway, but maybe it'll prevent someone from inspecting it. They can spend more time looking for other shells. Now, I did get here early, and I'm here at low tide, so that I'm hoping is going to increase my chances of just seeing more critters and finding more seashells. Speaking of critters, this is a crown conch that I was really hoping to see when last week when I went to Lover's Key. But this little creature is alive and well. I'm not going to bother picking it up. I can see its little siphon, kind of the black thing popping out of the right side, or the right side of the shell, which would be the front or the anterior, and then that spiky part in the back, the pretty side, that's the posterior. Yes, I know all technical terms for these pretty seashells. And not to worry, I'm not going to get all that technical. Although, I will try to share some practical knowledge about these creatures. So this is a lightning whelk, and it is alive. And I see that little siphon coming out of the front of the shell. So that skinny part, that little black thing there, that's a creature likely looking for a little snack. So it's probably on the hunt. And this is also probably a female, because the female lightning whelks will get very, very large, whereas the males, they don't need to get that large. They don't need all that energy to make eggs. And what's really kind of weird is the condition. Normally the animals, the condition of the shell is really, really good, but that's not quite the case here. All right, creature, you go do your thing. I'm going to go see what is out here. Now, I do like the headlamp kind of makes the shells look different. So we see the baby's foot or the back of this jingle. So that's a jingle shell, and that baby's foot is where the muscle of the animal was attached to the shell. So it leaves, they do call it kind of like a scar. Now, I don't have all that much to say other than it was not all that hard to get around the jetty. The water at this point is low enough, and there wasn't all that much behind the jetty, so I've already popped out in front. And if you saw my video from after Milton, this was that area that was just, I don't know, 3 feet deep in pen shells. It was crazy. But today, the pile is still here, but it is much smaller. It is amazing. There were a lot of seashells, a lot of happy shellers. There was a lot of really great finds. Now, this is a miniature or a very juvenile version of a Florida horse conch, and that was one of the very desirable shells that I know people got lucky with, including Genonias. What I'm holding right there, that is a Gulf oyster drill. After about 5 years of collecting shells, I can finally identify two of the smaller shells. They look very similar. All right, what's here? Yeah, I couldn't quite tell. Is it, all right, I see a fly speck cerith, a bubble, lots of old barnacles, crushed up shells, little pieces, this and that. All right, so I really was just curious, are we looking at tiny shells? What are we looking at here? So I decided to hold on to that little fly speck cerith. Okay, I did notice some bright, deep reddish orange color. And I'm making sure there's no little hermit crab in there. So this is our state shell, the Florida horse conch. Just a wee little version of it though. They do get quite large. All right, I'm satisfied it is empty. So I have a dark cerith and a little really bright colored Florida horse conch. Awesome. All right, so it looks like it might be a tiny day, and that's okay with me. You can really find some pretty awesome tiny shells. That is a little button snail. Or button shell, and I do find a very awesome shell. We'll see that later on. Scorched mussel, even though it's got a little break in it. All right, that is a spiny jewel box, a little bit older, a little slimy. I am not opposed to slime if it is on a really good shell. That is a mauve-mouthed drill. So the mauve-mouthed drill and the Gulf oyster drill, like that one, I can finally tell apart. It took me about 5 years. So, yep, that is a Gulf oyster drill. And I cannot explain it. Just go out every week and pick up seashells, and that's a crown conch. And you'll learn. And if you don't want to do that, you can just watch my channel every Sunday. I'll tell you all about it, all the stuff I'm learning. That is a cute little cantharus. So that is a tinted cantharus. Kind of really creeping up on my favorite shell list, those cantharus shells. Okay, an auger, a common auger. And it has a little seashell in its aperture, the opening. So it looks a little weird, but it's perfectly fine. This little seashell happens to be there, which is great because I know that there's no hermy in it. What do we got? All right, little fighting conch and a bubble, huge bubble. The bubbles we get down here, there are different species of bubbles. The ones we get only get half an inch big, like not that big. And they're also an indicator. When I see bubbles and stuff, I think of Wentletraps. That I think is gorgeous. That is a true tulip. So we have our banded tulips that usually have white on it, and then the true tulip, which will have different colors. There's another cantharus. So that's the ribbed cantharus. Which is, yeah, I can't tell you why. I just think they're so cool. They're little boxy knobs on them. Yeah, really cool. Rib cantharus. Oh, this looks very Wentletrappy. Oh, speaking of which. Oh, hi there. You cute little thing. Now, I do love hunting for those little Wentletraps. And this conditions, the bubbles, little like coffee grounds, like stuff, that screams Wentletrap to me. So I likely will be, when I can, looking for those seashells as well. Oh, some more little tinies. All right, little Gulf oyster drill, little bubble, fly speck cerith, and a dusky cone. So fun little, okay, what else? So there are little ones here. Just a matter of kind of slowing down, which I don't mind. It's kind of relaxing. Oh, another one of those ribbed cantharus. Now this one has a barnacle on it, and that is, oh, look at the color. Yeah, I can look right past that barnacle. Oh, what a beautiful little knobbed shell. And I did meet a couple of beach friends on this day. So that was kind of fun. And you know what? I'm finding that it kind of happens when there are these areas of concentrated shellers. Yeah, I'm probably going to run into a couple of my beach friends, which is always pretty nice. All right, still pen shells here. Bananas, right? Yeah, a couple of pen shells, a couple other piles, although that pile is getting smaller and smaller. Gaudy Nautica, or a colorful moon snail. It is a little broken, the aperture, but those shells I never pass up. I like them. Oh, an egg cockle. Fabulous. That is a cool common egg cockle. Neat shell. They're not rare per se, but I don't find them very often. A neat common egg cockle. Cool. Now, the juvenile fighting conch has all these little zigzags on it, and a lot of the juvenile ones do. Sometimes they'll be solid, but what's cool is when they get bigger and they kind of maintain that zigzag. Typically, that pattern does kind of go away as the shells get bigger. This is only one of the places I can think of that I go shelling that basically you're going to be in the shade for a long time until the afternoon because these really tall buildings are right there. In the summer, it's fabulous. In the winter, it's a little cooler, not so much. All right, another true tulip. Oh, and an alphabet cone. So that is what that cone is. The Florida cones don't quite get that big and their tops are a little different. And so I'm just going to have to be consoled. No alphabet cone, but I do have that true tulip. Oh, a little common nutmeg. You darling little thing. Yep, never passed up a nutmeg. The little top, it's white and dark. Okay, so snowy egret. What I wanted to know about this particular one, it's a juvenile, and we can tell that because it has yellow stripes on the back of its legs. Yep. So the adults won't have those yellow stripes. Cool, right? So it's a snowy egret looking for breakfast in the Wentletrap zone. I mean, that is like prime Wentletrap territory, or at least I was trying to find them. I was. It does look, for tinies, it was going to be a good day for tinies. Okay, this is a chestnut turban, and look at the nacre. So the nacre is mother of pearl. And believe it or I know, crazy that these snails make mother of pearl. So I was curious, is it tinies here? What is all here? I couldn't, because everything's moving around. And so I do see a juvenile fighting conch, a bunch of bubbles. So, all right, some small stuff, lots of barnacles, broken up shells. Okay, we have a dark seraph. All right, so I think I'm going to keep that. Everything else I can probably do without, or at least I'll find it again in a second. All right, so I'm going to hold on to that dark seraph. Oh, I sure hope there's a couple of Wentletraps in there. So these, like I said, these are the conditions that you look for, that like black stuff, and it's organic. And I don't know why bubbles and this stuff means Wentletraps. But Wentletraps are like, I don't know, 3 times the size of a grain of rice. And so there's no way I'm going to find it in water moving like that. So I figured I'll go over here where I have a little bit better of a chance perhaps. And I spied this turkey wing, also known as a zigzag arc. Love them. Hello, calico scallop. Yep, you're so pretty. You see a pink or purple shell, or a scallop rather, it's going to be a calico scallop. Gorgeous. A little shark eye moon snail. Moon snails are cool. They're all over the world. We don't get really big ones here. All right, that is another tinted cantharus, not in fabulous shape. I have found more fabulous tinted cantharuses, but I guess for now, I'm going to go ahead and hold on to that anyway. Here's a little pear whelk. Darling little thing. All right, pear whelk, cantharus. Who cares about that? Look at this. Oh, it's a baby's ear. Oh, I love finding them, and I don't find them very often. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's great. It's little. It's not like a big baby's ear. You know what, though? Any baby's ear is a good baby's ear if you ask me. Oh, that's terrific. Oh, so actually the baby's ear and the shark eye, that moon snail, they're in the same family. Notice they kind of have like an eye and like a little spiral going on. Okay, so no new Wentletraps quite yet. But I'm still like super excited. What is all here? And that's what makes the beach so fun. There's tons of people, there's tons of stuff, and I am still gonna have a glorious time. Oh, look, another little nutmeg. Is it me? Yeah, probably it's me. It doesn't take much. Nope. That's a fabulous little shell. It makes me happy. let you hang out with all my other little shell friends in my shell bag. So I was kind of hoping, I am still on the hunt for an albino lettered olive. This is just very light. We can go ahead and call that blonde, a blonde lettered olive, but not albino yet. Hope one of these days. You know, now does seem like the perfect time for me to take a break and for you to take a break and enjoy some beach time. Hello, yellow prickly cockle. Now, sometimes it can be really yellow on the inside, which is probably I just like really colorful shells. So they are in my repertoire of shells that I really enjoy. Now, jingles are always really fun because they're just well, we picked one white one up this morning, like really, really early. Now, fun fact, okay, that's not a jingle, that's a slipper. So what happens sometimes when shells are buried is they can kind of change color. So if you ever see a black jingle, they don't come in black. It's been buried and then it turns black. So they come naturally in like orange, yellow, kind of like a white and a gray. But if you were to ever find a black one, it means that it was buried for a really long time in low oxygenated soil. Kind of fun. Hopefully we'll find one, maybe a little bit later. Look at this cute little limpet. And you're perfect too. I didn't used to appreciate the small shells. It was all about the big shells. I love the little ones. So that's a limpet and a little top shell. Oh, and another, if I remember correctly, I think that's number 3, a little orange true tulip for today. So shells that color are kind of fun because it's either going to be the horse conch, the true tulips, and some discolored chestnut turbans, maybe the cantharus. So yeah, I'm not terribly happy shelling here in front of the building, but hey, you know what? That's where the shells are. So, all right, tiny but not a Wentletrap. We have a little dusky cone. Lovely little thing. We have a couple of cones here, none of which will land you in the hospital, which is kind of nice. No, that's another cantharus. That's a tinted cantharus. So beautiful. Oh, you're just so pretty. The tinted cantharus. There is another one. Here's another. Oh, that's the color I like to see. Yeah, just that second of anticipation. Oh, yeah. Yep, I'm kind of goofy. Like I said, it doesn't take much. Here's another egg cockle. Oh, you're so pretty. So 2 in one day. And there is another cockle called an egg cockle called a painted egg cockle, but they're small. They don't get very big. All right, there's another yellow prickly cockle. You're still, you're fine. Nothing wrong with you, but you're not going to delight me. No, it just doesn't do the same thing when you're not that bright yellow. Okay, so the Florida prickly cockle, yeah, they have some nice interiors with like that melon color and purple, sometimes a little bit of yellow. So pretty. All right, there's an orange jingle. Here is a slipper snail. Now those are very common. I apologize. I don't pay a lot of attention to them. They're still fun though. Here's another one. So yep, there's a common slipper snail, spotted slipper snail. There's actually a spiny slipper snail, but a couple of slipper snails and a jingle. Oh, hello, little Tampa turrid. Yep. Oh, you are gorgeous. So those I do tend to find down here in the 10,000 Islands. I'm trying to remember if I've ever found one a little bit north of here. I think all of them I've found in Marco. So it's funny, there's also a Sanibel turrid. So we have a Tampa turrid and a Sanibel turrid. That is an apple murex. So we have a couple of murex shells in that particular family. That one happens to be apple and quite nice if you ask me. So this is a white Atlantic simile with flecks of pink in it. and I complain about it every time I find one because I really don't think it should be a white Atlantic semele, just saying. All right, so that's another murex. It's going to be a lace murex. So this one's been hanging around a little longer at the beach. It's not quite lacy, so the shells will break down. Some still kind of pretty about it though. Oh, okay. Is it time to play What's in the Swash? I do love that game. Now, I saw the shark eye, and I did stand here a minute. Oh, yep. Actually, I stood there a couple of minutes. I really, I really wanted it. I think it was worth it. It's awesome. A nice size. Aperture looks great. I'm not surprised you're a little chipped. You were kind of washing around in this spot here. So I stayed here for a couple of minutes. We'll talk about it in a minute. There's just not a lot of sand here. Oh, look at the honey color on that fighting conch. Ooh, you're pretty. Let's see, anything? Oh, it's so fun because you only have like a split second to kind of see it. So this is where I am. I kind of zoomed out a little bit and I'm just kind of nestled here. There's no sand. So it's just shells kind of, and the water just kind of pushing up against these rocks. And so hung out in the spot for a couple of minutes. Here's another true tulip. A little bit bigger than those other orange ones we found. Gorgeous. I know the shape looks just like a banded tulip, but the coloration's a little bit different. Lovely true tulip. Okay, and you only get like you get like a second to see it, snag it, check it out. Hopefully it's a good shell. This is just, for me, really fun. I love shelling like that. Okay, an apple murex. Terrific. Not quite as, it doesn't have all those angles like the one we found previously, but still a swell find. Oh, look at that scallop. So that's going to be a calico scallop. Yeah, I definitely have to get grabby. You know, would a scoop have helped? Maybe, but there would have been nowhere to dump it out. So yeah, it was what it was. Now the tide was low enough to get around the jetty. So I am going to be able to get around the jetty. So I'm able to, and it wasn't so bad, but the tide is low. So it's negative 0.37. You got to get here at low tide. Look at what this looked like back in January. Look at all the sand. Now, granted, this is probably low tide, but look at where the people are now. Yep. The sand is gone. Milton took it. So believe it or not, you can get around the jetty, but you know, and I'm sure this will change. I spoke to Jennifer, who allowed me access to this area. Out there is going to be Kais and Dickmans. And Jennifer remarked that the profile of the beach did keep changing every day. Sand would kind of pile up and then go away. So it will change every day. You never know. You never know what you're going to find. So we got an auger, a cerith, some little drills, cantharus, bubble, little button snail, a black jingle. So we know that that's been buried in low oxygenated sand, as well as that seashell. So it's that particular seashell. We don't have black ones naturally down here. Cool. So we had some things that were buried. Now, what's it look like when you rinse it off? Oh, very nice. Yeah, I do kind of like those discolored shells. That black jingle is really cool. So when we see these black treasures, we know that they were actually buried treasures. Oh, here, look. That is a Sanibel turrid. Oh, cool. Granted, honestly, most of the time I find them, they're like kind of beat up. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with that, but the picture in my shell book kind of looks like that, and I do have specimens that are in better condition. So that is a Sanibel turrid that I found once again on Marco Island. Never found one on Sanibel, not yet anyway. Okay, and going really slow with the small shells helps. Sometimes I'll even just stare at a spot. All right, here's a little dusky cone, because the little ones, oh, they can hide. Oh, a purplish Tagalus. Wonder why I think I might like this name because it's weird and because the shell is purple. And that brown, that's going to be the periostracum that will over time kind of just wear off the shell. Hi, little horse conch. Yeah, you were probably, oh, you're probably empty. Yep. Terrific. Nice, bright orange horse conch. Oh, more tinies. So some little drills, a little lightning whelk, a little shark. Wait a minute. That little tiny there, that is a pitted murex. Oh, cool. So that's going to be the smallest little murex. They don't get that big. The biggest one you might hope to find, or that could have grown to about an inch. So that's a little pitted murex. These little shells can be really, really fun. Another orange true tulip. Was a good day for those orange true tulips. And you know what? In the background, I already see the treasure. I don't even care about the true tulip. That is a beautiful top shell. They roll terrific. All right, just kidding. So I'm psyched. This is only the second one I've ever found. These are very elusive. So they're, should I say very rare? Yeah, I'll go ahead and say it. This is a very rare seashell. So this is the beautiful top shell. Oh, it's so cool. So the first one I found was on Shell Island. I literally remember the first one I found. Oh, and would you look at this? So this is a tinted cantharus. Oh my God. And so I started only just recently with a micro or a mini, not a micro, a mini collection. So that little shell is going to go in my mini collection. Oh, it's so darling. Get out of town. Guess what that is? Yep. If you said Sanibel turd, you would have been right. It's got a bunch of beach stuff on it. No, if you were looking at that, yeah, it's just a fly speck seraph. So 2 Sanibel turds, kind of cool. What other little micro treasures we have here? Or mini. Okay, Gulf oyster drill. Looks like it's got a lot of melon in it. So very dark Gulf oyster drill. I do see the gray jingle. I'm probably not going to grab it. Yeah, little bits and pieces. Lots of little barnacles. What do we got here? Oh, another one. That's another one of those little tinted cantharus shells. Oh, that's fun. You know, it'd be fun if there was a little hermit crab in it. That would be fun. Well, right about now, I'm feeling so grateful. Grateful that I got access to this area and grateful that I have Patreons who choose to monetarily support me. And I cannot thank you enough. You know, if I didn't have Patreons, I might have to make an ad here about, I went and I looked about camp chairs, workout apparel, or a smartphone microscope, which might be kind of cool. So I might rethink that in the future, but I don't want to do anything that's going to take us away from the beauty of the beach and these creatures and everything that goes along with that. So Patreons, thank you. There's a couple more seashells I need to pick up though. Now this one, I know I find that sharp-ribbed drill. This is a thick-lipped drill. It looks very much like the sharp-ribbed drill. This one's kind of beat up. All right, that was like a nerd section. So for you nerds, that's a thick-lipped drill. Oh, look at how adorable. So that's a little nutmeg. It's not quite, it's probably not going to go in my teeny tiny collection. Oh, it's so cute though. So yeah, I'll be collecting. I started a little shell collection because all of a sudden the little ones really, really interest me. Look at this olive. So that's a little lettered olive. Now there are olives that are called like dwarf olives, but that one happens to be just a very bebe lettered olive. So now I know what is around the jetty. It was driving me crazy. So Jennifer, thank you for the access. We all got to see just how different it is since all these storms have come through. So it's a tiny bit of garbage. So we're talking 0.1 ounce, but you know what? In total, I've collected a little over 61 pounds of garbage from our beaches. And today I did also remove a couple of seashells. So here's all the mauve mouth drills, the Gulf oyster drills, as well as some ribbed cantharus shells. Now there's a little Florida prickly cockle with some more tinies in there, the banded tulip, Florida fighting conch. There's some tinted cantharus, lettered olives. There was some augers on the left, slide down slipper snails. We have some calico scallops, that one lace murex, some worm snails, some dark seraphs. Look at all the oranges. Horse conchs, little true tulip, some jingles. There's top snails up there. Here's some other jingles, those white and more naturally colored ones. The white Atlantic semele, nutmegs on the bottom, that chestnut turban, bubbles, button snails, dusky cones, Florida cone, yellow prickly cockle, Florida prickly cockle, pear whelk, purplish tigerlist, some lightning whelks, giant Atlantic cockle, the sunray Venus clam, turkey wings, top snails, shark eyes, and then my favorites. I liked those two egg cockles, the babies there, the Sanibel turrid, the Tampa turrid, the Wentletrap, the pitted murex. But honestly, that beautiful top snail, that was so cool. And then the little tiny shells and that limpet. It was, for me, I had a great time. I scratched that curiosity itch. I know it's around the corner, and I just ended up finding, for me, a bunch of really great treasures. Next week, we're headed to Sanibel because Sanibel was closed at the Lighthouse Beach anyway. So that's open again. We will check that out. I hope you have yourself a great week, and I'll see you again next Sunday.